thank you for this opportunity to give these closing remarks, putting out my own views about this House as it comes to an end by midnight of today. It's a moment of emotion for me, having had the opportunity to lead the House a little over 9 months, and the fact that, Mr. Speaker, by tomorrow, I will be seated to the left of Mr. Speaker, leading the charge for and on behalf of the minority. Mr. Speaker, you rightly paraphrased your description of this 8th Parliament on various platforms and fora, and stated that it's been remarkable, characterized by unique milestones and challenges that have tested our democratic principles and governance. Mr. Speaker, one defining feature of this Parliament was its near equal composition, with 137 members from each side and 1 independent member. Notably, this Parliament elected the Speaker of the House from a party of the opposition, something which was and still continues to be novel development to our democracy. We also had an equal number of female representation from both sides of the aisle, 20 female members apiece, bringing female representation to 40, that account for 14.5%, the highest female representation in Parliament ever recorded in our 4th Republic. This Parliament, at both sides of the House, has had the course to change their leadership in order to give opportunity to some members to serve in the front bench. It is therefore right to conclude that the 8th Parliament truly pushed our parliamentary democracy to its limits and tested how far we can go with our practice of parliamentary democracy. Mr. Speaker, I rose from deputy leader to majority leader. In my days as a deputy leader in this House, I received a lot of good counsel, not only from our side, but from my friends opposite. I remember the quiet moments where they would call me to their office and engage me in spite of our disagreements in this House. Mr. Speaker, permit me to mention a few of them and thank them for the purpose of Hansard. Honorable Harun Idrisu, Honorable Rashid Pelpo, Honorable Kletos Avoka, my respected senior Adaba and brother, Honorable Ahiafo. Mr. Speaker, I also received good counsel from many of my own side. The first Deputy Speaker, Honorable Joe Osewusu, the second Deputy Speaker, was also very handy for us to discuss issues about governance in the chamber. But, Mr. Speaker, not the least is the man I succeeded. For the purpose of Hansard once again, Mr. Speaker, this is a man who took it upon himself to get me to pay attention to parliamentary business. I always remember with nostalgia his first official travel with me all the way to Hanoi, Vietnam. In his hand was his standing orders and the Constitution. He urged upon me to always read the standing orders and encouraged me to aspire for the leadership of the House. I am happy to say that in my days as his deputy, although he is not a lawyer, he was well versed with the standing orders and the Constitution. Before I could say a word, he knows where a particular provision is. And we worked together, gave me the opportunities to shine, and eventually made way for me to succeed. Honorable Osei Che Mensah Bonsu, I thank you most sincerely. You defined my leadership. You played a key role. We may have our differences, but I want to say that you have made it possible for me to stand on my feet today, especially as I enter opposition and to lead our side in minority. It is that which I learned from you that I will depend on to make a headway in my leadership. Mr. Speaker, there were great elderly senior members on my side, such as Honorable Kennedy Japan, Honorable K.T. Amon, who were also with me in moments of difficulty. I should thank also, Mr. Speaker, my colleagues in leadership, Honorable Anodompre, the Chief Whip, a workaholic being. Mr. Speaker, there were a number of times he had to sleep in Parliament to organize and make things work for me to take over as a leader. He and his deputies worked tirelessly in assisting me to manage a very difficult house. Honorable Dompre, Honorable Habib Idrisu, Honorable Alexander Tete, I say God bless you. I'm thankful to you for all you did. And my able deputy, she was more than a mother to me, to calm me in difficult moments. Her wise counsel has made it possible for me to lead the House till this day. We are both Catholics. She never ceased to remind me of the power of our rosary as Catholics. Yes, the morning encouragement, calling me Kwamena, let's pray. Madam Patricia Apieje, God bless you for all you did. And to my colleagues opposite, you made the best come out of me. I was always watching the videos of Honorable Eric Opoku. This is a man who can punch extremely hard with facts. You dare not challenge him, and I dare not challenge him, because he will take you to another level. Honorable Kwame Agbodza, we were there together in opposition. Those days, we struck a good accord. We had our own esprit de corps. And when you assumed leadership, I thought I could explore that for a good way forward. You often disappointed me, but you got the best out of me. Kwame, thank you. And Ahmed Ibrahim, the deputy whip, he did all the dirty jobs. We disagreed. And I will call Ahmed and say, Ahmed, I thought you were a Pentecost elder. Why are you doing this to me? And he says that, Mensro, anyhow. But the next moment, he will hit me hard. But Mr. Speaker, I also got somebody amongst them to pound small. I also took advantage of his emotions, and I provoked him lightly, so that I also settle scores. My senior brother, Honorable Emmanuel Amakofibua. Mr. Speaker, I recall at one point you had to settle the matter, where I would constantly parading and flagging my standing orders. And he felt it. At the end of the day, that was the beauty of democracy. And I told my brother, no more Ato. Mr. Speaker, Ato will talk to you nicely. Have a good conversation. By 5 o'clock, he will call you and tell you, Kwamena, no deal. The political committee says we can't support you. Mr. Speaker, many did not understand why I was combative on a number of occasions. There were those who didn't know how the heat was on me and we're saying that you are majority leader, reach out. Mr. Speaker, the minority were such a tough, stubborn, difficult side. Mr. Speaker, you could never have an agreement with them because they were smelling power. And I understand, rightly so. The number of government business I would have loved to complete for political expediency and perhaps for purposes of principle, I did not get the support from my respected colleague. Many were the disappointment, Mr. Speaker. I'm sad that as a House, we could not deal with the following. One, the 1D1F. Mr. Speaker, I'm still of the conviction that this was a government policy to help the private sector. Mr. Speaker, being from the private sector fraternity, there was no way I viewed the initiative as a giveaway, as a freebie, especially so when the majority side had compromised and agreed to take away the raw materials component of the support to the private sector. But again, our colleagues could not support, not even to allow us to take some of the companies out and proceed to approve them. Mr. Speaker, the nomination of justices for the Supreme Court, which as a House, we vetted them but could not pass them, is also one disappointment to me as a leader. These are citizens of our country who, for no fault of theirs, have earned that call to serve at the highest court of the land. Mr. Speaker, I will not belabor their CV, but we know that these were citizens of substance who could have contributed their quota in enriching the jurisprudence of our country at the highest level. But again, we could not reach an agreement. And to date, I had to look in my direction. Look in my direction. I'm addressing some of your mischief. Mr. Speaker, again, we could not have a deal, and we've left it hanging. It has become odious. Mr. Speaker, I wish, as a House, we could have handled the World Bank $250 million facility to support the financial sector. This was also a facility that had gone through the committee process, and the House could have carried it for government to cushion the financial sector. But again, for good reasons known to my friends opposite me, we could not have a deal. But Mr. Speaker, the Frenchman will say, c'est la vie. This is life. We cannot push anymore, but to look forward to a new day, to also hold the new government feet to the fire. Get them to be accountable, get them to do what is right, and not get personal, but rather enrich governance of our country. Mr. Speaker, this government has achieved so much for the people of Ghana, but not a perfect government. Mr. Speaker, if our friends will today talk about corruption, I want to remind them that the call of corruption was on them when they previously ruled this country for 8 years. Many children whose parents could not afford secondary education had the opportunity of enjoying free SHS. Mr. Speaker, today, Ghanaians, 5.7 million of them, have benefited from free SHS. Mr. Speaker,
Another state of the economy.
not only did we have 5.7 million Ghanaian children benefiting from free SHS, we also had government introducing free TVET. Technical education was made free, and government built 34 new schools and introduced the STEM program for our children. Mr. Speaker, this government is on record to have boldly initiated the ambitious Agenda 111. These projects are at various stages of completion, and we expect that from tomorrow, the new government will take immediate steps to ensure continuous funding of these projects so that our people will get better health care. Mr. Speaker, the government, in terms of roads, added not less than 14,000 kilometers to our existing road infrastructure. And, Mr. Speaker, we expect that this new government, which takes office tomorrow, would be minded of these high achievements and even do better. Mr. Speaker, we have been told that in the area of energy, there were some corruption in certain areas. But, Mr. Speaker, I beg to say that we kept the lights on, and this government ensured that electricity for households and industry was on. Minimal challenges in terms of light off, as compared to what our friends left for us in 2017. Mr. Speaker, in the just ended election, the President, the Vice President ensured that they put together a team.
You are out of order.
To assist the Electoral Commission in ensuring that we had a peaceful election. Mr. Speaker, whilst I am on my feet, Honorable Nielande van der Poel will put on his mic. Mr. Speaker, he has to stop. This aspect of their intolerance, Atu spoke, even getting personal, but they can never take it. Mr. Speaker, I don't understand. Atu spoke, he even went personal. We kept quiet and listened to him. You are on your feet, on in your mic. Well, this is your nature. Mr. Speaker, we had a very peaceful election. Baumia, the presidential candidate of the MPP, conceded defeat long before the official declaration by the EC. But what did we witness? Violence upon violence, orchestrated by the leadership of the NDC, who sent thugs to collation centers, attacking Electoral Commission officials, attacking candidates, unleashing violence, and threatening our democracy. For all these conducts, we subject the NDC to posterity. I say to them that the very people they are using to unleash violence on Ghanaian people will soon come back to them. I leave them to posterity. Never again should we witness such an attack on our democracy, where at collation centers, organized thugs are moved in pickups to disrupt the collation process. Mr. Speaker, whereas the MPP accepted the results and even relied on due process of law to get justice, the NDC decided to unleash violence on the Ghanaian people. Mr. Speaker, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the President of the Republic, has made his name in Ghana and in the sub-region. It is therefore not surprising that the ECOWAS recognized him and gave him a title, Mr. Democrat. Mr. Democrat for the good works he's done for democracy. For over 40 years in public service, he distinguished himself, and the sub-region celebrated him. Mr. Speaker, the 8th Parliament, however, witnessed some unfortunate, sad situations. The loss of our colleagues, Honorable Philip Baswa of Kumewu, Honorable John Ampontua Kuma of, as well as some 18 former members of Parliament and a former First Lady, Her Excellency Teresa Kufuor. Mr. Speaker, all these persons who were in public service passed on within the period, and I say, may their souls rest in peace. Mr. Speaker, in spite of the turbulence that the House witnessed in some few instances, my honorable colleagues in leadership and I worked so hard in ensuring that the business was conducted in a convivial and congenial atmosphere. This Parliament achieved notable legislative milestones, passing 41 bills, including Private Members' Bill, a first in our history. We facilitated the passage of 48 regulations and approved significant agreements and reports bolstering Ghana's socio-economic development. Furthermore, the 8th Parliament approved the nomination of His Lordship Justice Eni Yeboah for appointment to the High Office of Chief Justice of the Republic, and after his retirement, Her Ladyship Justice Gertrude Araba Esaba Saki-Tokonu took over. Mr. Speaker, the House, in all, vetted and approved 9 justices of the Supreme Court and 2 Chief Justices during a tenure. Mr. Speaker, under your leadership, you initiated the Visitors Program and the Citizens Bureau, and this strengthened public engagement and participatory democracy. Parliament also celebrated the 30th anniversary of parliamentary democracy and hosted international conferences such as the 66th Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference and ECOWAS parliamentary sessions, which took place in my constituency, Efutu. These events reinforce Ghana's commitment to democratic principles and regional cooperation. This is an outstanding achievement in the quest to enhance our democratic governance. Mr. Speaker, in spite of all these great achievements strengthening the pillars of Parliament, we in the majority have some few challenges in the manner you handle the House. There were times that we felt you were partisan, and there were times that we felt you could prevail on our colleagues better in cooperating with us. There were times that we felt we were let down. But Mr. Speaker, as you always say, you cannot do it perfect and cannot get it perfect. You did the best as you could. It's our prayer, Mr. Speaker, that as we've been notified of you presiding over the 9th Parliament and well placed in the east of this august House, we pray that the space you gave to the minority to allow the opposition to vent out its concerns, we will have same as you preside. We have no doubt on our mind that you will do that for us. Mr. Speaker, let me also, at this juncture, thank the parliamentary service staff. What would life be without them? What would life be for the MP of this parliament, the member of parliament of this 8th parliament? What would life be without them? They are the quiet councillors who are not recognized but make a lot of input to enrich debate and make us better in our legislative work. Mr. Speaker, from the clerks at table to all those who support you, every parliamentary staff, on behalf of the House.
Members, Second Deputy Speaker to take the chair.
This one too. Afenyo-Markin.
Yes, leader, you may continue.
On behalf of this August House, I say a big thank you for your service and all you've done to help us become better than we think of ourselves. Mr. Speaker, somewhere last week, when my party was considering who should lead the House, I had cause to be worried over a few issues. An elder statesman spoke to me and told me, don't take it personal. Don't take it personal. This is politics. I therefore would want to respond to my respected colleague, Dr. Casey Latefosa, by telling him that he should not take it personal. I know how it is, but if everybody is given the opportunity to tell his story, maybe you realize that others might have gone through worse situations. I do not think that it is appropriate to personalize issues and mention Honorable Godfred Jabu Adami by name for Hansen, as though he personally had an axe to grind. I will plead with you, let bygones be bygones. You know what some seniors on our side know. You know what some seniors on your side know, that everybody wish you well. So, it isn't the case that this government was such a bad government that they wanted you in jail at all costs. So please, let it slide. But I'm particularly happy that you sounded a word of caution that never again should such a thing happen in our body politics. Mr. Speaker, politics should be made attractive for those who want to wholeheartedly serve. Nobody should ever fear leaving government. Nobody should ever fear getting into government. If as a political class we mistreat ourselves, there will be nothing left for the governance of this country. I therefore would want to add my voice to the call you made, Honorable Forson, that we should have a better way of dealing with issues of alleged corruption, where we believe that somebody has committed a crime. We should allow due process of law to take effect. It is on this note that I condemn in no uncertain terms, the establishment of a so-called committee called ORA. I hold a humble view that it is a needless committee. It has no constitutional backing, and this committee is only in for personal vendetta. If we allow this committee to continue with its so-called wild goose chase, it will disturb the governance of this country. We don't need any so-called ORA. We have institutions of state. However unhappy we may be with their work, we must support them to do their work. We don't want people to be chasing people into people's houses, going into people's bedrooms, thinking that their government is in office, so they should chase people for so-called ill-gotten wealth. Let's allow Mr. Speaker, the laws of the country to work. Mr. Speaker, in 1996, the elections delivered 133 seats for the NDC and only 61 for the MPP. That was a minority of conscience, however many its minority was.
Yes, leader. Hold on. Yes.
Afenyo-Markin. Hurry up.
Okay,
You can't threaten us.
leader, let me see the seat to the speaker.
Honorable Wawe. Honorable Wawe. The cameras are seeing what you were doing with your hand.
Mr. Speaker, thank you and welcome back. Mr. Speaker, the MPP, incoming minority, will not allow the NDC government to use illegalities and unconstitutional means to frustrate and abuse the rights of former appointees of the Akufo-Addo government. Our mantra is touch one, touch all. We will encourage the NDC majority to be guided by its promise to the people of Ghana and rather use its limited time in office, the 4 years, to bring development rather than chasing political opponents. The people of Ghana are expecting the e-levy to be abolished. The people of Ghana are expecting that cocoa prices for the farmer will be increased without delay. The Ghanaian people are expecting that taxes at our ports will be reduced significantly. The people of Ghana expect that only 60 ministers will get appointed into this new government. And Mr. Speaker, these are the breakdown. All 16 regions will have one. So if you have 16, you take 16 out, you are left with 44. Of the 44, Mr. Speaker, once upon a time, ASK Bagbin, as he then was, as minority leader at this very dispatch box, said soon and very soon, the MPP will soon see him and know him when he was seconding the motion for Alajete's consideration as Speaker. You haven't seen anything yet. You keep quiet and listen. Soon and very soon, you will see the true politics here. So you relax, but you would hear me. We heard Ato. You will hear me, Mr. Speaker. Now, if you take away 16 ministers from the 60, the regional minister, you are left with 44. Obiniyem. The 44 left. You can only take about 25 from Parliament. 25 from Parliament. 25 out of the 180 something. Mr. Speaker, there is going to be redundancy in this House. And very soon, Mr. Speaker, the majority leader would experience the moment that, Mr. Speaker, you refer to as majority leader. Look behind you, your back is empty. Very soon, your members who will become redundant will not come into this chamber. And there you will see that the minority that you think we are mini minority will become the majority. Mr. Speaker, I am not a prophet, neither am I a seer. But this thing, I can foresee that is going to happen. Mr. Speaker, even the MPs who will not get positions, there are other non-MPs who are looking for board appointments. So you won't even get board appointments. You won't get it. You are going to be more redundant. Now, your foot soldiers will be coming to you for employment. They will be coming to you for support.
Honorable Majority Leader,
Mr. Speaker,
we are talking about the 8th Parliament.
Mr. Speaker,
Closing remarks of the 8th Parliament.
Mr. Speaker, I told force.
We are talking about.
Mr. Speaker, I told Atu that today is a ceremonial day. I prepared a beautiful ceremonial speech, and I told Leader Emeritus that all the time Atu would depart. He took advantage of a ceremonial speech to lambast my government. And you think I should keep quiet? No, you won't get. I'm in the dispatch box. You see, you guys cannot take it. We sat quietly and allow you to punch us. You can't take it. Mr. Speaker has even come to your rescue. I'm not done. I won't finish now. Sit down. Sit down.
Honorable Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, because of your intervention. Mr. Speaker is my father. That is why I'm obliging him. Even of all he did for you people, you wanted to stage a coup against him. Some of you didn't want him to come again. Mr. Speaker, it is true. And if they dare me, I'll mention names. Yes. Some of you didn't want Mr. Speaker back. Of all that he did for you to get power, you wanted to remove him. It took the prayers of our side. To get Mr. Speaker back to this house. It took our prayers to get Mr. Speaker back. Some of you wanted to stage a coup against him. Challenge me. Take a Bible or Quran and use it to defend yourself, and let's see. Yes. Mr. Speaker, by the grace of God, you are back. By the grace of God, you are back. It pains some of them. You are back. So, Mr. Speaker, I shall conclude by wishing all of us well. For those of you who are getting out of Parliament, please, the younger ones from both sides of the aisle, please don't give up public service. There are mistakes we all make. Go back to the drawing board, get closer to the people, and relaunch yourself back into public service. You are retiring. Please avail your experience to the young ones. The young ones will need to learn from you, and I will plead with you to make yourselves available. Mr. Speaker, to all colleagues one more time, I know that my time as majority leader was not all perfect. For those of you I wronged, anything I did that made you unhappy, I am sorry. Let it slide. Let's move on as colleagues. And let's pray for a brighter day for our Parliament. I thank you all, and I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for guiding me in this, my political journey. God bless us. Merci beaucoup.